Have you ever snapped at someone you love and then immediately thought, "Oh no, what did I just do?" The words are already out there hanging in the air and you can't take them back. And that's when you realize, wait, I was angry, but by then it's too late. The damage is done. The reaction already happened. You didn't choose it. It just erupted out of you like a volcano you didn't know was about to blow. This tiny moment, this split second between what happens and how you respond, this is something the Buddha noticed over 2,500 years ago. It's so ordinary, so common, that most of us never even see it happening. But it's so important that the entire path he taught, everything he spent 45 years sharing with people, rests on understanding this one thing. That gap between what happens to you and what you do about it. We walk around believing we're in control of ourselves. We think we choose what we feel, what we say, how we act. But if you actually watch yourself honestly for just one day, you'll notice something uncomfortable. Most of what you do wasn't really chosen at all. It's reaction. Old patterns firing off automatically before you even know what's happening. Someone criticizes you and boom, you're defending yourself before you even process what they said. Someone offers you something you want and boom, you're reaching for it. You're on autopilot most of the time and you don't even realize it. The Buddha pointed toward a completely different way of being. A mind that can hold anger without becoming angry. A mind that can feel pain without turning that pain into endless suffering. And here's the beautiful thing. This isn't some mystical state reserved for monks on mountaintops. It's something you can begin to notice in yourself right now, right this second, as you're listening to these words. When people hear the phrase, "a mind that sees without reacting," they usually imagine something the Buddha never actually taught. They picture someone sitting there with a blank face, feeling nothing, wanting nothing, like a statue, completely detached from life, cold and distant. But this image goes completely against everything he was pointing toward. Let me clear up some confusion here, because this is where a lot of people get stuck. One big misunderstanding is hearing "don't react" and thinking it means suppress everything. Swallow your anger, push down your sadness, smile politely while something's burning inside you. But here's the thing about suppressed emotions. They don't just disappear, they go underground, they find other ways out. Through your body as tension or illness, through your relationships as passive aggression, through sudden explosions on a random Tuesday over something completely trivial. You know those moments when you lose it over something small? That's usually not about the small thing. That's all the stuff you've been pushing down finally erupting. Another confusion is thinking non-reaction means coldness, like the goal is to stop caring about anything. The Buddha himself still felt things. He felt the ache of an aging body. He felt tired after long days of teaching. He felt pain when he was physically injured. His feelings just didn't sweep him away anymore. He could stay with them without being completely ruled by them. There's a huge difference. So what is he actually pointing at? There's a small but crucial distinction that helps. Two words that look similar but come from completely different places. Reaction and response. A reaction rises up from underneath, from below your conscious awareness, before you're even awake to what's happening. It's born from old habits, old wounds, old fears. The Buddha taught that the engine behind every reaction is one of three forces. Greed, the pull toward what you want. Hatred, the push against what you don't want. And confusion, the fog of not seeing clearly what's actually happening. A response is different. It comes from a mind that has paused, even for just a fraction of a second, long enough to actually see what's going on. It might still look like action. It might be quiet or firm, or sometimes even confrontational. But it's guided by clarity, by care, by wisdom, instead of by blind impulse. This is why seeing without reacting has absolutely nothing to do with being passive or weak. The Buddha walked all across northern India for 45 years, teaching and meeting people from every walk of life. He took action constantly. His actions just came from a mind that had learned to see first and move second. If we actually watch our own minds for even a single day, we notice something quietly uncomfortable. Most of what we do is triggered, not chosen. Someone criticizes us and the old defense mechanism rises up. Someone offers us pleasure and we automatically grasp for it. We're being pulled around by invisible strings and we think we're the ones doing the pulling. A mind that sees without reacting is maybe for the first time in our entire lives an encounter with real freedom. Freedom from being yanked around by every passing impulse and emotion. If you're finding this helpful so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps us share this wisdom with more people who need to hear it. And if you want more teachings like this that can actually change how you experience your daily life, go ahead and subscribe. We're just getting warmed up here. So if the reactions running through us aren't really us choosing them, then who is it that could actually see them? Who is the Buddha pointing toward when he talks about awareness? Try this right now. There's hearing happening. Sound is entering your ears, being understood as words, carrying meaning to you. Now, find the listener. Actually try to locate the one who's doing the hearing. Is it in your ears? No, ears are just physical organs. Is it in your brain? Your brain is a network of billions of cells, and no single cell is the listener. Look carefully. You'll find activity happening. You'll find experience. You'll find awareness of sound, but you won't find a little person inside your head doing the listening. This is what the Buddha discovered long before any of us were born. There's hearing, but no hearer. There's seeing, but no seer. There's thinking, but no thinker. At least not in the way we normally imagine one. This probably sounds weird or even unsettling, but stay with me. The Buddha used two images to point at this truth. The first is a flame. Imagine a candle burning. We say the flame like it's a thing with its own solid existence. But a flame only exists because wax and oxygen and heat are all meeting together in a continuous event. Take away the wax and the flame is gone. It was never actually a thing. It was a happening, a process. What we call the seer or the self works exactly the same way. When your eye meets light, meets attention, seeing arises. When those conditions change, seeing dissolves. There's no permanent watcher hiding behind your eyes, waiting for images to arrive. The second image comes from an ancient text. A king hears the beautiful sound of a stringed instrument drifting through his palace. The music is so gorgeous that he asks his servants to bring him the source of that sound. They bring him the instrument, but the king wants something more. He wants the sound itself, held in his hands as a single thing he can possess and keep. His servants gently explain that the sound can't be separated from everything that makes it: the wood, the strings, the musician's hands, the skill of playing. Without any of those conditions, there's no music. You can't pull the music out and hold it separately. The Buddha offered this story to help us look at ourselves. Somewhere inside, most of us are quietly doing what that king tried to do. We're searching for a solid me behind our experience. Some unchanging person who owns the thoughts, owns the feelings, owns the body. But when we actually look closely, what we find is more like that instrument. A gathering of parts, each one arising and passing away. Body sensations, feelings, perceptions, reactions, awareness itself, all of them real, all of them happening, but none of them a fixed owner, none of them a permanent, unchanging me. This teaching can land heavily for people. If there's no real me, then what am I? Is the Buddha taking something essential away from us? Please hear this gently. He's not taking anything from you. What he's showing you is that the weight you've been carrying, the constant pressure of being someone, defending someone, proving someone, you've been holding up a self that doesn't exist in the way it appeared to. This teaching doesn't say nothing exists. What it says is that what's happening is a flow of experience with no solid thing called me having it. The Buddha called this the middle way, avoiding both the belief in a permanent self and the belief that nothing exists at all. And here's where it gets really freeing. If there's no solid me at the center, then there's no solid me to be wounded, no fixed self to defend. The very thing you've been exhausting yourself protecting your entire life was never there to begin with, not in the way you thought. This is the doorway to freedom the Buddha kept pointing toward. Now, understanding this intellectually is one thing. Living it in a day full of traffic and deadlines and family drama and exhaustion, that's another thing entirely. So the question becomes, how? How do we actually do this? When it comes to watching the mind, most of us think we're doing it when we're actually doing something quite different. Let me show you 3 levels of how we relate to strong emotions like anger. At the first level, there's no watching at all. When anger rises, you become the anger. It's wearing your face, using your voice, controlling your actions. Most people live here most of the time. We don't feel anger as something separate. We are angry. At the second level, a thought arises in the middle of the anger. Why am I so angry? I shouldn't be angry. This is bad. I need to stop. Many people believe this is watching the mind. It's not. It's just the mind talking to itself. It's noise layered on top of noise, commentary about the anger, which just creates more mental activity. The third level is completely different. The anger is still there. You can feel the heat in your chest, the tightness in your jaw, the pull towards saying something sharp. But there's space around it now. The anger has become an event happening within awareness, kind of like how a cloud passes through the sky. There's no you standing apart from it, analyzing it. There's simply awareness, and within it, the anger is being seen, without judgment, without commentary, just seen clearly. And something quietly remarkable happens when you do this. Seen this clearly, the anger begins to dissolve on its own. It can't sustain itself without someone to claim it as mine, without someone to feed it with thoughts and justifications. This is what the Buddha pointed to in his teaching on mindfulness. His instruction sounds almost too simple. When the mind has craving, know that it has craving. When there's hatred, know there's hatred. When there's confusion, know it. When there's clarity, know it. The whole practice lives in one word: know. Why does simply seeing have such power? Because in any single moment, awareness and defilement can't occupy the same space. When mindfulness is present, when clear seeing is happening, greed and hatred and confusion have nowhere to stand. They're displaced the way darkness gets displaced the moment you turn on a light. The emotion might still arise and move through you, but it can't capture you. It can't take you over completely. So how do we actually practice this in the middle of an ordinary messy day? The Buddha taught 4 foundations of mindfulness. Among them, one stands out as the most direct place to catch a reaction before it takes hold. It's the doorway of feeling tone. The Buddha's instruction is striking in its simplicity. When experiencing a pleasant feeling, know I'm experiencing a pleasant feeling. When experiencing a painful feeling, know I'm experiencing a painful feeling. When experiencing a neutral feeling, know I'm experiencing a neutral feeling. That's it. That's the whole instruction. No fighting the feeling, no trying to change it or fix it, just knowing what's here. Why does this matter so much? Because feeling tone is the exact point where reaction begins. Every single experience, a word someone says, a text message you get, a memory that pops up, arrives carrying one of three simple flavors: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Most of the time, we never notice this layer. We jump straight from the experience into reaction. Pleasant feeling: I want more. Unpleasant feeling: I want it gone. Neutral feeling: I zone out. But if you train yourself to slow down and catch that flavor the moment it arises, a tiny gap opens up between the feeling and the reaction. That gap is where freedom lives. Two other doorways can support this practice. The first is the body. Every emotion leaves a fingerprint somewhere in your body. Anger shows up as heat in your chest or tension in your jaw. Anxiety settles in as shallow breathing or tightness in your stomach. Sadness carries its own weight behind your heart. When a strong emotion rises, leave the story your mind is spinning and bring your attention to the actual physical sensation. Just feel it. An emotion without a story attached loses most of its fuel. The second doorway is the mind itself. The next time anger or fear arises, instead of saying, "I am angry," try saying, "Anger is present." Feel the difference in those two statements. "I am angry" fuses you with the emotion. You become it. "Anger is present" turns it into something passing through a space that's larger than itself. You're the room, not the weather moving through it. You're the sky, not the clouds. One quiet caution as you practice this. There's a trap that catches a lot of people. You might begin to create a new watcher inside your head, like an inner supervisor nodding approvingly at your mindfulness. Good. I'm watching my anger. I'm doing it right. I'm being mindful. But this is just a subtler version of the same self, now dressed up in spiritual clothes, pretending to be advanced. True practice has no one in the middle trying to get it right. Let the watching be as empty of you as the moon is empty of a face. Just seeing. No one special doing the seeing. This all sounds pretty simple when you hear it explained. So why is it for almost every human being so incredibly difficult? If seeing without reacting were easy, the world would look completely different. Fewer broken friendships, fewer wars, fewer sleepless nights replaying a conversation that ended hours ago. Our struggle with this every single day is a sign that something deep is at work, something we need to understand. 3 obstacles make this practice difficult. Each one asks us to be honest about parts of ourselves we'd rather keep hidden. The first obstacle is speed. Reaction is faster than seeing, way faster. By the time you become aware that anger has arisen, it's already been running the show. You've already thought the thought, said the words, sent the text. The mindfulness arrived late, like a firefighter showing up to a house that's already burned to the ground. The Buddha called these deep patterns anusaya, underlying tendencies that quietly shape us, carried forward from countless past moments of reacting the same way. He pointed out exactly how they work. When a pleasant feeling arises and we reach out for it, try to hold on to it. The old tendency toward craving grows stronger. When an unpleasant feeling arises and we push against it, wish it would go away, the old tendency toward aversion grows stronger. When a neutral feeling is there and we completely miss it, zone out, the old tendency toward confusion grows stronger. There's something actually freeing in this teaching. The feeling itself isn't the problem. A feeling is just a feeling, arising and passing like everything else. What keeps these old tendencies alive is how we meet the feeling, how we react to it. So we can stop expecting to catch every single reaction as it happens. We train the mind slowly, patiently, and over time the seeing grows faster. And one day it becomes fast enough to catch the reaction before it fully takes over. The second obstacle is deeper and way more uncomfortable. We believe our reactions are justified. Somewhere beneath our conscious mind, a quiet voice is always speaking. They hurt me, so I have every right to be angry. My anger is standing up for what's right. We don't just have reactions, we defend them. We turn our anger into a moral position, our resentment into self-respect, our fear into being smart and cautious. The reaction stops looking like something happening inside us and starts looking like the correct stance toward a broken world. Letting go of it would feel like betraying ourselves, like letting people walk all over us. To see a reaction clearly, you have to be willing, even for just a moment, to release the feeling of being right, and something inside us finds this almost unbearable. It would rather suffer and be right than be free and let go. Think about this honestly. The next time you're deeply hurt by someone, ask yourself if you could have one or the other, to be proven completely right or to be completely free from the pain. Which would you actually choose? Most of us, if we're truthful, would choose being right. We'd rather hold on to the pain if it means we get to be right. And that's exactly why the pain stays. The third obstacle is perhaps the deepest, and almost nobody talks about it. The mind simply cannot sit still with a feeling. It's never learned how. Check this against your own life. You sit down alone, and within 30 seconds your hand reaches for your phone. You wait for an elevator, and the wait feels unbearable unless you're checking something. An uncomfortable feeling arises, and you can't sit with it for even 10 seconds before doing something to escape it. Scrolling, eating, texting, thinking, planning, anything but just being with what's here. Doing nothing gets labeled almost instantly as wasting time. We've trained ourselves our entire lives to be in constant motion, grabbing, pushing, hunting, achieving. Now we're asking this same mind to do the one thing it's never been asked to do, to stay with a feeling without grabbing, without pushing away, without running off into distraction, simply to see it and be with it. This is why meditation feels so difficult when people first try it. You're asking your mind to do the opposite of everything it's practiced for decades. If you've ever tried to sit quietly and found your mind running absolutely wild, please don't be harsh with yourself. This is completely normal. This is the nature of an untrained mind meeting silence for the first time. Just noticing the restlessness, just seeing it, is already the beginning of real practice. So if these obstacles are real, and they are, what's actually waiting on the other side? When a person begins even a little bit to develop a mind that sees without reacting, something starts to change. The changes come in layers from the visible surface of daily life down to the deepest parts of our being. The first layer shows up in ordinary everyday life. The Buddha described it with an image I find completely unforgettable. When life strikes us, he said, it's like being hit by an arrow. The first arrow, the loss, the illness, the cruel word, the disappointment, this often can't be avoided. Life shoots arrows at everyone, but then the mind does something extraordinary. It picks up a second arrow and stabs itself with it. The uninstructed person, when touched by painful feeling sorrows and grieves and laments, they feel two pains, one from the body, one from the mind. The first arrow was given by life. The second arrow is one we give ourselves, and in most cases the second arrow causes way more pain than the first ever did. Your partner criticizes you. That's the first arrow. You spend the next 3 days obsessing over it, building resentment, imagining divorce. That's the second arrow. You lose your job. First arrow. You spend months in shame, telling yourself you're a failure. Second arrow. A mind that begins to see without reacting stops firing the second arrow. The loss still hurts. Life still hurts. The first arrow still lands. But the suffering we build on top of it begins to fall away. The argument with your partner still happens, but you don't spend 3 days replaying it. The difficult email still arrives, but the hours of ruminating afterwards begin to shorten. Relationships start to heal because you stop unconsciously wounding the people you love with automatic reactions. You become slowly a person who's easier to be around, including easier for yourself to be around. As the mind settles and sees more clearly, something deeper begins to reveal itself. The 3 marks of existence, not as ideas to believe in, but as truths you recognize directly in your own experience. The first is impermanence. When you watch your own emotions closely again and again, you see that every single one of them arises, stays for a while, and passes away. Even anger that feels like it'll last forever, it doesn't. Even grief that feels permanent, it shifts and changes. Nothing stays the same. Everything is always moving. The second mark is about suffering. Most of us assume suffering comes from painful feelings themselves, but the pain of a feeling is one thing. The suffering is what happens when the mind clings desperately to a pleasant feeling or fights furiously against an unpleasant one. Let the feeling be exactly what it is without grabbing or rejecting, and suffering loosens its grip. The third mark is the most quiet and the most freeing, the truth of not self. As you watch the mind long enough, something begins to dawn on you. There's no angry person sitting inside the anger. There's only anger arising and passing. There's no sad person underneath the sadness. There's only sadness moving through awareness, like weather moving through the sky. The solid self you've been defending your whole life can't be found anywhere inside the actual experience. The moment this is seen, even for a second, even for a flash, something inside you relaxes in a way nothing else has ever made it relax. A quiet paradox runs through this whole teaching. The more we stop reacting, the more wisely we actually act. The more we stop searching for me, the more clearly we see what's actually here. The more we let go, the more we find we actually have. None of this is meant to be believed. The Buddha's invitation was always the same. Come and see for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Watch your own mind. Notice your own reactions. The freedom being described here isn't far away. It's not in some distant future after years of practice. It's close. It's in your next breath. It's in the next moment when someone says something that stings and you feel that familiar pull to react, and for perhaps the first time you pause. You see what's happening. You stay present with it. That small pause is the doorway. Every time you walk through it, it becomes a little bit wider. Reactions that used to run your life for days will pass through you in minutes, then in moments. Then they'll barely register at all. The seeds of this kind of mind are already in you. They were there long before you ever heard of the Buddha or the word mindfulness or anything being shared here today. Everything you've listened to is only a gentle reminder pointing you back towards something that's always been here, quietly waiting to be noticed. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, If something here opened up even a little bit of space in your experience, please hit that like button. And if you want to continue exploring these teachings and discover practical ways to bring this wisdom into your everyday life, like and subscribe to Buddhism Focus for more videos like this. We're here walking this path together, and I'm grateful you're part of this community. Take care, and remember, freedom is closer than you think.